Sit up, relax.
Okay.
Hi there.
Hi.
Please can you tell me about yourself?
Okay, for those people who don't know me, my name is Julie Ryan, and I'm the author of 5 books so far, 3 in the Greek island mystery series, 1 rom-com, Christmas novella called Kali's Christmas Countdown, and finally my new book, which is just out, called Finding Rose.
Very well plugged there. I like
Oh,
it. That
yes.
was really good. So the latest book is called Finding Rose. Please can you tell us about it?
Finding Rose is very close to my heart. It's a story of 3 sisters who are estranged, and they have to come together on their father's deathbed to fulfil his last wish, which is to find Rose.
So I mean, I'm guessing they're not the happiest of relationships between them and their father.
Well, no, there's got to be a little bit of conflict, mostly between the sisters. So they have a good relationship with their father individually,
Oh, right. Okay.
but the sisters don't really get on with each other, and you'll find out why if you read the book, because each of them has a secret, which is why they're not on very good terms. But as their father is in hospital, he asks them to find Rose, and they have no idea who this mysterious Rose is.
It's out of nowhere. Who is this Rose character? It's not something that's ringing any bells.
No, absolutely, it's completely out of the blue.
Okay.
And they don't even know if Rose exists, because he's drugged up on morphine.
Oh, it's a real... Right, okay.
So he's coming out with all these really weird inconsistencies. They don't really know why he's saying the things he's saying. But in fact, it could be that he's reliving previous
Well,
lives.
you mentioned the inconsistencies. Is this like, I mean, is there different times or places or...
Yeah, absolutely. So it's not exactly a time slip where people go back in time, but it does have 2 different times involved. My favourite one is the Tudor period. So of course there is a Tudor Rose. This is my Tudor Rose. And there's also a period during the First World War, Battle of the Somme, and there's another Rose involved in that time period, and maybe a contemporary Rose. So you see we're having 3 time periods, we have 3 sisters, and we have 3 roses.
Very good, classic literary structure. Really, really excellent. Okay, I mean, what was... It sounds like you're drawing from a lot of different ideas and pulling them all together. I mean, what inspired you to write the book?
I think as a writer you draw on all kinds of things. I said this was close to my heart because it was inspired in part by my father when he was in hospital during his last days, and he was talking absolute gibberish.
Okay.
And I kind of got to thought, well, what if he's not talking gibberish? What if it means something to him? And it was my way of coping to invent stories about what he was saying. And then the second part, which is really close to my heart as well, my grandfather was a young lad of 17 when he lied about his age and enlisted in what they called the Great War.
Oh, the First World War?
What you call the First World War.
Oh, of course, yeah. It was very common, wasn't it? Yeah.
Very common for young lads, because they were all gung-ho and they wanted to fight for their country. They had a strong sense of duty.
You can't be given the white feather.
And they joined up in the Pals Brigade, so a lot of their mates could join up together.
Yeah.
So he joined up in 1916. So the 1st of July was the Battle of the Somme. 19,000 people died on that first day. He didn't die, he was badly injured, but he survived. And he was one of the few, I think, that survived the Somme. So it's something that I've always wanted to write about. It sounds really morbid and really sort of depressing, but in fact it's quite an uplifting book. So at the end, the actual ending is quite happy, even though they have to go through quite a lot to get to that stage.
Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom.
Not all doom and gloom, no.
Good, I mean, that makes sense. So, I mean, the question every writer wants to explore, if you were going to make this book into a film.
Oh, I wish.
Are there any particular actors or actresses you would like to take any of the main parts?
Well, I have to look at the hair, and the hair was what really inspired my character of Rose. I just saw that picture of the hair and I thought, yes, my medieval, my Tudor Rose is going to have that hair. And it was only later that the blogger actually contacted me and said, oh, do you know that looks so much like, and it's that unpronounceable character from Game of Thrones.
Daenerys Targaryen?
That could be the one. That is played by Emilia Clarke.
Yeah.
And I have to confess, I have never ever seen one episode of Game of Thrones, but I love that picture so much. So definitely I reckon she could be a good candidate for playing my medieval Rose.
Okay.
For the young soldier in World War One, how do you think Tom Hardy would play a 17-year-old?
Tom Hardy?
Oh, he could, couldn't he?
I mean, if you've got a time machine, I mean, we'd have to like...
Who cares?
So stick him in anything,
It'd be perfect.
Yeah. Would you be there on set to give right?
Well, I'd have to supervise, wouldn't I?
Of course. Right, costume change, of course. Okay, I mean, well, we've got a modern day cast. I mean, to go back to your characters, what if you could have a modern day item to give to your characters, maybe to help them on the mystery, on the journey, or maybe just to help support them and they're coping with their own secrets and their own stories. If there's any modern day item you could go back in time to your Tudor characters or go back in time to the World War One characters, is there any particular item you'd go back and take to them, and why would you do that?
I'm sure there'd be lots of items that perhaps would make life easier for them, looking at all the modern technology we have that they didn't have then. But reading about all the hardships of the front and the battlefield and the nursing, I think the one thing that I would love to take back to World War One would be penicillin.
I thought, no, was it not out? Penicillin in World War One?
Penicillin was discovered in 1928.
Is that right?
So 10 years after the end of the war. So you can just imagine the hardship of, operations and infection, and they didn't have penicillin to cure it. So hopefully that will save quite a few lives.
And anything for the Tudors?
Maybe a time machine.
Well, you could use a time machine to get back there. How about like a mobile phone? Do you think Henry VIII would do good on Twitter?
I don't know, but I'd just love to go back and meet Henry VIII, just to see if he was really as bad as they say he is.
I think he's definitely a character.
But I'm so outspoken, I'd probably end up losing my head, so that's probably not a good idea.
That's usually the case. Do any of your characters, I mean, you say they're Tudors, do they go into that sort of world and the aristocracy? Do they bump into them? Well,
I don't want to give too much away, but there is definitely part of the book that is set at the court.
Say no more, say no more. You've whet my appetite, that's good.
Good.
So, what's next then? Is Finding Rose the end of the story for these guys? Is there going to be a sequel?
Well, it's terrible because every time I write a book, it's always a one-off.
Yeah.
Except I wrote one Greek island mystery that became 3. This was intended to be a one-off.
Yes.
It may well continue to be a one-off.
Put the question mark at the end of that.
But there's a big question mark because I killed off one of the characters.
Don't say that.
I'm not going to tell you which one.
Oh, flipping heck.
And my sister said to me, oh, I wish you hadn't killed off.
Oh, great.
And I said, watch this space, there may be a sequel.
Are you sure you haven't read Game of Thrones?
So I've got to think of a way of bringing her back.
It seems to be the theme of killing off the character you like.
Yeah, so she may not be dead. You may just think she is.
Right, well, I'm going to stop you there before you get too
Oh, thank you so much.
Right, no, thank you so much, and I really look forward to seeing the book and reading it myself.
Thank you.